Here we go with the development of pons. Pons will develop from metencephalon. So therefore, the initial two statements will be from metencephalon, from the dorsolateral roof, there will be development of cerebellum. And from the ventral part of metencephalon, there will be development of pons. Please note down these two statements. So therefore, here, when we draw the pons, we draw, this is the roof plate, this will be the roof plate, and here we show the two primordia. So these two primordia will lead to the development of cerebellum, which will be discussed later on. Individual topic, independent topic. So from the two dorsolateral columns, these are the rudiments for the development of cerebellum. So in short, they are called primordia, dorsolateral part of metencephalon. From the ventral portion of metencephalon, there will be development of pons. So therefore, now this structure here, we will show it as development of pons. And here we go with the diagram. Once again, LR and basal lamina, here we are drawing. And this is where we show the LR as well as basal lamina. Here we will connect this with this. So basically, now here we go with the functional column, same as development of medulla oblongata. And what will be the functional columns? We go from medial to lateral. So from the medial to lateral, first we take the somatic efferent. Now in the somatic efferent column, there will be development of which cranial group of nuclei? In the somatic efferent column, there will be development of abducent nerve nucleus in the pons. So therefore here we will mark this as the abducent nerve nucleus, Roman numericals. So this will be abducent nucleus. Somatic efferent. It will supply extraocular muscle, that is lateral rectus muscle of the eyeball. Then second functional component besides somatic efferent in the pons, in the basal lamina, will be the branchial efferent or spatial visceral efferent. So therefore the branchial efferent or spatial visceral efferent here, and this will be represented by, in this here we go with the, this will lead to the development of that cranial nerve nucleus which will supply the muscles which are developed from branchial arches. So it is called spatial visceral efferent, or it will be known as branchial efferent. So therefore here there will be development of two nuclei. Number one, trigeminal nerve nucleus, and number two, facial nerve nucleus, motor nucleus of facial nerve. So therefore this will be trigeminal nerve nucleus, and here there will be motor nucleus of facial nerve. Now this motor nucleus of facial nerve we will draw in such a way that this motor nucleus of facial nerve we will draw slightly ventrolateral to abducent nucleus, and trigeminal nerve nucleus is motor nucleus of trigeminal nerve, not sensory. This will be the motor nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So this will be motor nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Here we have written this, and here we go with this nucleus as the facial nerve nucleus. This will be the facial nerve nucleus, motor nucleus. And why we have drawn ventrolateral to the abducent nerve nucleus? Because this will be the second example of neurobiotexis, which the first example which I have discussed with you in the development of medulla oblongata as the nucleus ambiguous. Same way the facial nerve nucleus, initially it was located, when it started its development, it was located ventrally and in the roof laterally to the abducent nerve nucleus. Then it has migrated around the abducent nerve nucleus caudally, and it has gone ventrolaterally. Previously it was lying in the roof laterally, then it has migrated around the abducent nerve nucleus and gone ventrolaterally towards the source of stimulation. And what is the source of stimulation? The spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve located over here. This is the source of stimulation. So this is the second example of neurobiotexis, that is the facial nerve nucleus migrated ventrolaterally from abducens nerve nucleus. So therefore, whenever we show the nerve fibers are shown in such a way that, here I will use orange color, these nerve fibers will be shown winding around. So therefore, this facial nerve will wind around and then it will pass in such a way that it will be passing in this way, winding around the abducens nerve nucleus, and the abducens nerve nucleus, the nerve will pass in this way. This is how we show. So therefore, this winding around of the facial nerve around the abducens nucleus is known as facial colliculus. Then we come across to the third functional group on the basal lamina, ventral to lateral, and that will be known as the general visceral efferent, and that general visceral efferent will be represented by superior salivatory nucleus. So here we represent this as superior salivatory nucleus, and this superior salivatory nucleus will give, or it will supply preganglionic secretomotor fibers to that of the submandibular and sublingual salivary glands. And this superior salivatory nucleus belongs to which group? It belongs to the facial nerve nucleus. But here we have to write down this as the superior salivatory nucleus. It will develop from which functional column? From the general visceral group of functional column. Therefore, we have finished the entire basal lamina. Now we go to the alar lamina. Once we start alar lamina from ventral to dorsal side, we start with the first one, which was the first, in case of alar lamina, the first functional component. We started with the general visceral afferent. So that general visceral afferent here, we will draw it, and that general visceral afferent is represented by dorsal nucleus of vagus nerve. The same dorsal nucleus of vagus which was present in the medulla oblongata. So here we represent this as the dorsal nucleus of vagus nerve. That will represent general visceral afferent, same as medulla oblongata. Now, just dorsal to it, lateral to it, there will be spatial visceral afferent, and spatial visceral afferent functional column in case of pons will develop into, so the spatial visceral afferent will develop into, there is only one group of nuclei which represents spatial visceral afferent column, remember, and that spatial visceral afferent column is bringing gustatory fibers or taste fibers from the tongue and the palate. So that nucleus is called nucleus of Tractus solitarius. So here we will mention this as nucleus of Tractus solitarius. Remember, it is also present in the medulla oblongata, same. And which is this functional component? It is known as, this functional component will be known as the spatial visceral afferent, nucleus of Tractus solitarius. Now, second last in alar lamina here, that second last is represented as general somatic afferent. That second last will be represented as the general somatic afferent, and this general somatic afferent will be represented by the chief sensory pontine nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So here we will write down this as general somatic afferent, and it will be represented as the chief sensory pontine nucleus of which nerve? Trigeminal. Roman numerical to utilize this space, this is trigeminal nerve, that is the fifth cranial nerve. Chief sensory pontine nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, or simply it is the chief sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve which is developed from general somatic afferent. And the last one here, the last functional column was represented as, this is the last functional column which is represented as spatial somatic afferent, and this spatial somatic afferent will be represented as vestibulocochlear group of nuclei, the same vestibulocochlear group of nuclei which we have seen in the medulla oblongata. So therefore here this will be the vestibular and cochlear group of nuclei. It is representing the last functional column, that is the spatial somatic afferent group. So here all the nuclei which are developing in the metencephalon, ventral portion of metencephalon, because that ventral portion of metencephalon will lead to development of pons. They are developed in such a way that we have utilized all the functional components from medial to lateral. In basal lamina is alar lamina. Now here, there will be, if you recollect, there will be presence of certain nuclei which are present in the marginal layer, in the ventral marginal layer, and these nuclei were known as nuclei pontis. So this nuclei pontis, so many nuclei were there. These nuclei pontis, they are derived from alar lamina. The alar lamina of the matens and metencephalon, they have migrated ventrally and they have settled in the marginal layer present just ventral to basal lamina in the form of nuclei pontis. Then we come across to reticular formation. There are reticular formation, that is reticular fibers within the pons. That reticular formation of pons will be developed entirely from basal lamina. This is the last statement. The reticular formation of the pons will develop entirely from basal lamina. Now, together, medulla oblongata and pons. In the white matter of medulla oblongata as well as the white matter of pons, we have seen so many ascending and descending tracts. So remember, the white matter of medulla oblongata as well as pons will develop from marginal layer of neural tube, and which will comprise of all the ascending as well as descending tracts, sensory as well as motor tracts. So here, based upon the functional components, we have finished the development of pons. Thank you very much.